So today, Trump has been butthurt by Canada and has decided to terminate all trade talks with our northern neighbors. Let's see why. Here we have Time magazine. Trump announces trade negotiations with Canada terminated over an Ontario Reagan ad. We'll be watching the Ronald Reagan video in a moment, so be sure to stick around until the end so you can see what was said in this video and what hurt Trump's feelings about it. Let's read a little bit more. Now, this article does say that the Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has frequently using Ronald Reagan's video to speak negative about tariffs. And we all know Trump loves his tariffs. Anyone that speaks against tariffs, Trump's coming after you. So the government in Ontario launched an ad earlier this month, and it's television ad, which has said to have cost, it's said to have cost 75 million Canadian dollars, 54 million US. That's still insane for this ad. So it's expected to run through January on networks including Newsmax, Fox, and NBC. The ad quotes from Ronald Reagan's April 25th, 1987 radio address to the nation on free and fair trade. Trump argued that the ad aims to interfere with U.S. Supreme Court's decisions on the legality of the president's tariffs, which is ongoing at the moment. I'll be surprised if the Supreme Court goes against Trump, but they have some time. So let's just keep hope alive that they kind of wrangle that in, because we can't be doing this. Hey, you got tariffs one day. Hey, you don't have tariffs one day. There's also some market manipulation going on behind there, and maybe we'll make a video on that as well. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and we're going to play the clip.
My fellow Americans, Prime Minister Nakasone of Japan will be visiting me here at the White House next week. It's an important visit because while I expect to take up our relations with our good friend Japan, which overall remain excellent, recent disagreements between our two countries on the issue of trade will also be high on our agenda. As perhaps you've heard, last week I placed new duties on some Japanese products in response to Japan's inability to enforce their trade agreement with us on electronic devices called semiconductors. Now, imposing such tariffs or trade barriers and restrictions of any kind are steps that I am loath to take.
It was crazy right now. I was watching this, how just homey this looks, right? It looks like he's just chilling in his house. Got a little cup right here. You know, he's taking a drink. He's got his papers just laid out. This is kind of insane. We're watching that. Who's this? This person's just back here looking like they're tired as heck. It looks like their head's back. I had to say something. All right.
And in a moment, I'll mention the sound economic reasons for this. That over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. But the Japanese semiconductors were a special case. We had clear evidence that Japanese companies were engaging in unfair trade practices that violated an agreement between Japan and the United States. We expect our trading partners to live up to their agreements. As I've often said, our commitment to free trade is also a commitment to fair trade.
Which I agree. I think everyone agrees. We want fair trade. We want fair trade. Let's just blanket it like that. We want fair trade, which means everyone being fair. I don't know how else to word it. So tariffs can be used as a defense mechanism or a reactionary defense mechanism in order to coerce people to do fair trade. So it has nothing to do with whether you have a tariff on someone else or your tariff's higher. There's trade deficits in the United States. It's because we are one of the most consuming country there is. So of course we were always going to have a trade deficit towards people or towards other countries. But in this moment in time, during this time, there could have been a time like, hey, you guys are doing this. We post a tariff on you. Stop doing it this way, and the tariff goes down. Not just a blanket tariff towards all countries. This is going to be very targeted. So while he's saying that he loathes it and doesn't want to do it, he will do it because it's for the betterment of free trade, right? Targeted.
But in imposing these tariffs, we were just trying to deal with a particular problem, not begin a trade war. So next week, I'll be giving Prime Minister Nakasone this same message. We want to continue to work cooperatively on trade problems and want very much to lift these trade restrictions as soon as evidence permits. We want to do this because we feel both Japan and the United States have an obligation to promote the prosperity and economic development that only free trade can bring.
And this is true. This is a good speech because it ties into things that are going on right now and what the Republican Party is trying to destroy. This wasn't perfect. Ronald Reagan wasn't perfect. Our trade agreements aren't perfect. But the whole point of us and the free trade movement that many countries decided to agree on is the free trade. Open and free trade. It makes everybody a little more prosperous than they would have been. And trade wars just hurt everyone, or they'll eventually hurt everyone. So this is a very good speech, man. We should pay attention.
Now, that message of free trade is one I conveyed to Canada's leaders a few weeks ago, and it was warmly received there. Indeed, throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. Now, there are sound historical reasons for this. For those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery.
Important right there. Remember this, guys, because what does Trump tell us? He says back in this time, back not in 87 exactly, but back in time, and when America first started, all they did was make money off of tariffs. That's all we did. So it has to be good. For that time, maybe. We don't live in the 1800s, 1700s anymore. The world has changed. You no longer can be an isolationist in this world. We knew that ahead of time. We knew we were going to need trade partners. We knew we were going to need proxies in other countries. And in order to do that, in order to make those deals, we have to make trade deals, and we have to take on some trade deficits in order for us to have security in a part of the world without us having to go there. We really have to focus and think about, it's not just about getting everything from everybody and that can last. America has to play a game of give and take. It can't just take. Otherwise, we're going to end up to where we're going right now, or end up in the Great Depression, just like one of Trump's favorite presidents has said, just like the Republican Party, maybe before Trump, Ronald Reagan was the most popular president in the Republican Party. And I guess if we look at the polls, honestly, he probably still is, because Trump's poll numbers are horrible in total. But I believe for the MAGA and Republican, he has some of the highest ever. Like it's a cult and a religion. So I expect it to be that way. Let's keep going.
You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
And this is what will happen. We know this is what will happen. We use the history in order to show us the probabilities of things happening. You don't have to like this president. You don't have to like Ronald Reagan. He's speaking just a truth from someone that also says they would use tariffs. You don't hear this kind of honesty from our current president. You don't hear it at all. And that's something that we need to start calling out. I myself is going to get way more aggressive with my associates that say Trump is doing the right thing. We have to call it out. We have to call it out with factual evidence, not just hearsay or not just I didn't like what so-and-so did. Let's start cutting out the whataboutisms and let's just go straight for it. When you're debating someone on this topic, don't let them point out what another party did. Let's talk about the party in charge right now. That's all that matters. I don't care what happened 1 year ago now. This is the party in charge. They control everything. We have to hold them accountable. And if the Democrats get in charge, we have to hold them accountable as well.
The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity. Now, it hasn't always been easy. There are those in the Congress, just as there were back in the 30s, who want to go for the quick political advantage, who risk America's prosperity for the sake of a short-term appeal to some special interest group, who forget that more than 5 million American jobs are directly tied to the foreign export business, and additional millions are tied to imports. Well, I've never forgotten those jobs, and on trade issues, by and large, we've done well. In certain select cases, like the Japanese semiconductors, we've taken steps to stop unfair practices against American products, but we've still maintained our basic long-term commitment.
And before this ends, because this is coming to a close, I want you guys to commit to calling people out. And if you're a Republican, I want you to commit to actually having these discussions. And if you're a MAGA person, I just want you to think reasonably for a second. Slow down, calm down, and just think. Let's all three have a discussion. And if you're kind of like me, where it's just you just want the best for everyone, I want to be included in that discussion too. That's why I'm making these videos. We're going to let Ronald Reagan close this video out. I thank you guys for watching. Please go to the comments below, click your buttons, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. J Knight out.
So, with my meeting with Prime Minister Nakasone and the Venice Economic Summit coming up, it's terribly important not to restrict a president's options in such trade dealings with foreign governments. Unfortunately, some in the Congress are trying to do exactly that. I'll keep you informed on this dangerous legislation because it's just another form of protectionism, and I may need your help to stop it. Remember, America's jobs and growth are at stake. Until next week, thanks for listening, and God bless you.